The Iraqi sun scorched Staff Sergeant Thane Carver's face as he crouched behind a shattered wall in Fallujah. Dust clung to his fatigues, his M4 rifle, his very soul. At 32, Thane had seen enough of war to know its scars ran deeper than the shrapnel lodged in his left forearm from a roadside bomb last month, but nothing prepared him for the letter clutched in his trembling hands, its edges worn from being read under the dim glow of his bunk's lantern. The letter was from his wife, Leora, back in suburban Virginia. Her words hit like an IED. Their $300,000 home, the one they'd poured their savings into, where their daughter Zinnia learned to walk, had been foreclosed. The reason? An $800 fine from the Crestwood Homeowners Association for unauthorized exterior modifications. A small shed Thane built in the backyard before his deployment. The HOA had sold their home at auction for $3,500. A mistake, surely. A cruel jest. But Leora's tear-stained handwriting confirmed the nightmare. Their life, their memories, their future, gone for less than the cost of a beat-up truck. Thane's vision blurred, not from the desert heat but from rage and despair. He pressed his back against the wall, his squad's chatter fading as his mind spiraled. How could this happen? He'd served his country, dodged bullets, watched friends die, all while trusting the system back home would protect his family. Now, the HOA, a faceless pack of clipboard-wielding vultures, had stolen everything. Thane's third deployment in 5 years had turned Iraq into a maze of danger, where every alley could hide an explosive, every glance from a local could mask intent. His squad, a tight-knit group of 6, relied on him. He was their anchor, the one who kept spirits up with stories of Zinnia's crayon scribbles and Leora's herb garden, but the letter changed everything. That night, in the stifling heat of their forward operating base, Thane sat on his cot, staring at a photo of Zinnia, her gap-toothed grin beaming from a park swing. Private First Class Solana Torres, the squad's medic, noticed his silence. "Sarge, you look like you've seen a wraith," she said, tossing him a water bottle. "It's worse," Thane muttered, voice low. He handed her the letter. Solana's eyes widened as she read, her usual fire replaced by shock. $3,500? For your house? That's gotta be illegal. "It's the HOA," Thane spat. "They fined us for that shed I built for Zinnia's toys. Leora couldn't pay it. She's juggling bills, daycare, everything. They didn't give her a chance." Solana shook her head. "Back home, they're fighting over sheds while we're dodging RPGs. That's some nonsense, Sarge." Thane's fists clenched. He wanted to scream, to break something, but he was 7,000 miles from Crestwood. All he could do was call Leora. The satellite phone crackled as her voice came through, fragile and broken. "I tried, Thane," she sobbed. "I begged them. They said the fine was overdue and the foreclosure was procedure. They sold it to some developer. We're with my mom now." "Zinnia," Thane choked out. "She cries for her room every night," Leora whispered. "She doesn't understand why we can't go home." Thane's heart shattered. He pictured Zinnia's teddy bear collection, her murals on the bedroom walls, all in strangers' hands. "I'll fix this, Leora," he promised, though he had no plan. "I'll make it right." Back in Virginia, Leora fought a losing battle. The HOA president, Vesper Klein, was a retired accountant with a lust for control. Her emails to Leora were icy, citing bylaws and community standards. The shed, Vesper claimed, violated aesthetic guidelines. When Leora missed the fine's deadline, overwhelmed by single parenting and medical bills from Thane's shrapnel injury, the HOA pounced. They foreclosed without warning, exploiting a legal loophole that allowed them to auction the property for pennies. Thane, meanwhile, drowned in guilt. He'd built that shed with his own hands, a gift for Zinnia. He hadn't known it needed HOA approval. Now his mistake had cost them everything. He spent sleepless nights scouring legal forums on his phone, learning about HOA abuses. Posts on X described similar stories. Veterans, single mothers, elderly couples losing homes over trivial fines. The system was rigged, and Crestwood's HOA was a textbook predator. His squad noticed the change. Thane's focus slipped during patrols. Once he froze during a firefight, his mind on Zinnia's tearful face instead of the insurgents firing from a rooftop. Solana pulled him aside. "You gotta get it together, Sarge. We need you here, not in Virginia." "I can't let this go," Thane snapped. "They stole my home. My daughter's home," Solana sighed. "Then fight smart. You're a soldier. Use strategy, not rage." Her words sparked an idea. Thane contacted a legal aid group for veterans, emailing from the base's spotty Wi-Fi. A lawyer named Callista Nguyen responded, explaining that HOAs could foreclose without judicial oversight in some states, but the $3,500 sale price raised red flags. "It smells like fraud," Callista wrote. "We'll investigate, but it'll take time." Time was something Thane didn't have. His deployment had 6 months left, and Leora was unraveling. She sent a video of Zinnia singing "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star" in her grandmother's cramped spare room, her voice faltering. Thane wept, tears mixing with desert dust. The war intensified. Thane's squad was ambushed during a supply run, and Private Jericho Tate took a bullet to the leg. As Thane dragged him to cover, his mind screamed, "This is what I do, save lives. So why can't I save my family?" The guilt was a second war, fought in his chest. Back home, Callista Nguyen uncovered dirt. The developer who bought Thane's home for $3,500 was Vesper Klein's cousin, a real estate shark named Gideon Klein. The sale was suspiciously underpriced, suggesting collusion. Callista filed a lawsuit, but the legal process was glacial. Leora faced harassment from Vesper, who sent letters demanding payment for association dues on a home they no longer owned. Thane's despair turned to fury. During a rare video call, Leora's eyes were hollow. "They're trying to break us, Thane," she said. "Vesper called me a deadbeat in front of the neighbors. Zinnia heard it." That was the final straw. Thane requested emergency leave, citing family hardship. His commanding officer, Captain Elton Reese, was skeptical, but granted it after seeing Thane's haunted expression. "2 weeks, Carver," Reese warned. "Don't do anything reckless." Thane landed in Virginia on a rainy October morning. The sight of Crestwood's manicured lawns and smug welcome home signs made his blood boil. Leora ran into his arms at the airport, Zinnia clinging to her leg. "Daddy!" Zinnia squealed, but her eyes were wary, as if sensing the world's cruelty. The Carver family moved into a motel, their savings drained. Thane confronted Vesper at the next HOA meeting, held in a pristine community center. The room was filled with neighbors, some sympathetic, others avoiding his gaze. Vesper, in a crisp blazer, smirked as Thane spoke. "My family is homeless because of you," Thane said, voice shaking with rage. "You sold our home for $3,500 to your cousin. You think you can ruin lives and hide behind bylaws?" Vesper's face reddened. "You violated our rules, Sergeant. Actions have consequences." "Consequences?" Thane roared, slamming his fist on the table. "I'm fighting a war while you play tyrant over a shed. You stole my daughter's home." The room erupted. Some neighbors clapped, others shouted at Thane to leave. A retired veteran, Mr. Ansel Thompson, stood up. "I've known Thane since he was a boy. This ain't right. We're a community, not a cartel." Vesper scoffed, but the tide was turning. Thane's story spread on X, posted by a neighbor who recorded the meeting. Hashtags like #JusticeForCarver and #HOA Abuse trended. Local news picked it up, exposing Gideon Klein's shady deals. Callista Nguyen used the publicity to expedite the lawsuit, uncovering emails between Vesper and Gideon planning the sale. Back in Iraq, Thane returned to his squad, his leave over. The lawsuit was ongoing, but the public outcry forced the HOA to freeze further actions. Gideon Klein faced fraud charges, and Vesper resigned in disgrace. Leora and Zinnia moved into a rental, funded by a crowdfunding campaign sparked by Thane's story. One night, as Thane patrolled a quiet street in Fallujah, Solana handed him a letter from Zinnia. It was a drawing of their old home, with a stick-figure family holding hands. "We'll be okay, Daddy," she'd written in wobbly letters. Thane clutched the paper, tears falling onto the desert sand. The war wasn't over, not in Iraq, nor in Virginia. But Thane fought on, fueled by love and a promise to rebuild. The dust of home, he realized, wasn't just in the soil of Crestwood. It was in Zinnia's smile, Leora's strength, and the hope that justice, however delayed, would come. 6 months later, the lawsuit succeeded. The court ruled the foreclosure invalid, and the Carvers regained their home. Gideon Klein's company paid damages, and new HOA regulations were proposed statewide. Thane returned to Virginia for good, his deployment complete. As he hugged Zinnia in their reclaimed backyard, the shed still standing, he whispered, "We're home, kiddo, for good." Leave your thoughts in the comments.